bitch said, get a job. Bitch, I just got out the joint. Talking about what's your occupation? Pressing license plates. I'm a license plate pressing motherfucker. Well, good evening. Good evening. Good evening, YouTube person that's assigned to me. Thank you for joining me. I knew you wouldn't let me down. I knew you would come and, if you had to pull the trigger on me, like I'm sure the same person did before. Hey, Crazy Sarge. I'm sure the person that was assigned to me before is assigned to me again. So welcome. Welcome, Crazy Sarge. So this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host. 8 Wind is Timeless. It all started with a gentle sadness. I am the holder of the continuous, not the sacred, but the continuous ball game of the Hero Twins. I am the galactic daddy-o sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. Thank you, one, and thank you all. Coming. And tonight we're going to give a thanks to our sponsor Macy's and Macy's line of vintage clothing. Thank you, Vintage Clothing and Macy's, for making my vines divine. And we're also going to give thanks to Yocon Wax System. I always blow big stacks, and tonight, drinking water, so pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them. What's happening, Sebastian? What's happening, CJ? It's just remarkable the things we're going through. The more they talk about taking away the police and everything, it's just funny that now they don't want to get rid of the police, but they want to get rid of the police unions, just like they want to get rid of the teachers' unions. Now we got an interesting thing. I have to smoke me one. There you go. Hey, PJ. Hey, thanks. So it's just interesting because this is the lies they try to tell. They try to tell you that these other cities that crime has went up. Crime has went up because the local police help with the crime, which they've always done. I've watched police departments set up trap houses. I've watched police departments just miraculously lose 22 keys of cocaine, and then miraculously the 22 keys show up in the neighborhood. So I've watched here. Hadn't been a shooting in downtown Minneapolis, but once these cops lost their overtime money, all of a sudden it's a shooting at the clubs in downtown. So we see the police in Minneapolis doing a lot of this extra crime to show they're needed. And again, when they are needed in these melanated neighborhoods, they show up slow. But when they go to the European neighborhoods, all of a sudden you don't hear the Europeans complaining that the police aren't showing up. Hey James, thank you for joining. I gotta wait till I get off work to blow them stacks. Okay, PJ, that's totally understandable. Especially if you're doing some serious work. You want your concentration to be where your concentration needs to be. Government controlled drugs in the street. Absolutely. I mean, we watched Snowfall again, and they're trying to show that the CIA. Well, it was interesting what they showed last week with the CIA, them losing the war in Nicaragua, that not going great. So that's an interesting thing. Then tonight we saw the dying of Gary Webb. Remember, Gary Webb did a supposed suicide with two shots in the back of his head. So he apparently took the gun and boom, boom, which we know the CIA killed him for releasing the story. And remember, the CIA director resigned because they had a city meeting, and it maybe had been Watts. And remember that they was giving it to him. It's like, you motherfuckers created this shit. The CIA created crack. Again, Marvin Gaye, Michael Ray Richardson, Richard Pryor, Whitney Houston, they smoked bass. They did not smoke crack. They smoked bass. Bass was a more expensive process. So our CIA found out a way to get the local people addicted. And as I've said, in Kalamazoo, Michigan, I don't know what for a while they smoked. They didn't always have crack, but they still acted like all the crackheads acted, despite whatever the fuck they were smoking. So it didn't even matter. As long as you heard about this shit and they felt that they should be doing it, they were showing the same tendencies. Shit, just got in myself, dealing with these crazy mofos. I feel you. On the body cam, you never hear a shot fired. Also, her hands look empty when the driver takes off. Very sketchy. Crack made black business go out of business a lot of ways. But Dredd said something interesting. Again, I feel that the taser was just a way to show an alibi. She's clearly holding a gun, but she's mindful enough to know that she's on body cam. So this bitch got frightened, pulled out her gun because she was frightened. She wasn't frightened by a guy with a gun. There was no imminent threat to her. There wasn't even threat to taser. Motherfucker took off. How far is he gonna get away? You just got more charges. You back up, you let the motherfucker drive off. How far can he go? You radio motherfuckers around, they box him in, he's got to give up again, and then he gets a flee and eluding charge. Now, I don't know what his, I don't know what the young man's warrant was for, but I've had men try to run, knowing they was going to go to jail, try to run. I told this thing very clearly. I had just got off from having a broken foot. Two motherfuckers came at me. One went this way, one went that way. Had another guy he was gonna spend the 4th of July in jail, and I had just cut my foot very badly. Motherfucker took off. He made it that day. We later got him, but that day he didn't get arrested. Didn't have to kill him. I told this to a motherfucker. He's talking about he's some kind of military person all over the world. I was in a full-blown riot. Where was an other cop and I fighting 10 or 11 motherfuckers almost each? Not one time did I ever think I'm outnumbered. I just need to start popping these motherfuckers. It was, to me, fun enough to fight them. And I've told the story many times. I'm punching him and I look over at my partner. He's blasting these motherfuckers with the nightstick. And that's what I picked mine up, dropped it, and it was like everybody froze. I bent down and picked it up. And as soon as I picked it up, motherfucker rushed me. And they say don't hit him in the head, but I blasted a few of them in the head. And finally they said, we're going to stop fighting this guy. No one had to die. A few dudes had some lumps. So I don't want to hear that shit in the heat of battle. You don't know what you're going to do, because that's bullshit. That's a good point, CJ. Crack made black businesses. They did. When did crack come to the South? I was just curious. I'm in Texas. Well, one thing they showed us not right is in the movie Blow talks about it a little bit, But the way it went in through Miami. Remember, the godmother in the 70s was pumping in New York, just powder. Then the godmother moves to Miami. And so then it went from Miami to LA. You know, Blow kind of shows that. So they might make you think it was just CIA, just the CIA was already set up in Miami. So it was going from Miami to LA. And then they introduced crack there. Now, when crack came to Texas, I am not sure. It's like crack went to Chicago slowly. The gangs still had little influence, and they wasn't allowing it for a long time. And this was before the destruction of all the high rises, and not high rises, but you know, the hood rises, I guess you call them. And so Chicago was a little late getting into it, where Detroit was a little sooner than Chicago. And then, you know, the first little boomers in Chicago was making so much money, they went out of gang code, and it was like, shit, I don't even need the gang. I'm pumping like this. And then, you know, that is when it hit Chicago. So I'm not sure how it came across the South. We have several instances of cross-country movement where the CIA put cocaine in all these different communities. And always the same kind of thing. The CIA finds somebody and pushes them. Big Meech, the Williams boy in D.C. You name the name, that they all work for the CIA. That's one thing you got to realize. There was a thing on tonight about Alpo. That motherfucker worked for the CIA. That's why he out right now. He was a CIA asset. Motherfucker just don't all of a sudden come up with enough money to get keys and rain on a big city like that or a big borough. That's always government operated. Your last video was so obvious. Well, thank you, T-Bull. Hey, the one, yes, definitely Aggie Pride. Those high hood rises, hundreds of years old and Moorish, Tarkanian looking. But the thing that like, you know, I can't remember the year they killed a state trooper. Some state troopers tried to chase some boys, and the sniper took the state trooper out. I want to say it was in the mid-70s. It could have been a little later. But when they went up like Capri Greens, the Gardens, and all those kind of buildings, once crack hit in them, I mean, it was impossible for them to stop it. They could have never stopped it. That's one reason why they tore all that shit down. Because when crack hit, they controlled it. They tried to send motherfucking undercover and shit, and they was getting fucked up in there. And they could never stop it. It was too much money being made. You know, when they talk about this the first of the month, you know how hectic it was for the cops to try to be in there. Remember, those buildings had their own police forces. My uncle always tried to get me to be one of the housing authority. They were housing authority cops. My uncle ran one of them. Always tried to get me, like, fuck no, it's not going to be, I'm not going up in there. Rayful Edmonds, yeah, not Williams, Edmonds, that's his name. Hey, Anise, thank you for joining me. Yep, Rayful Edmonds, another agent. Thank you, Rocky. Facts, and also knew Spanish, hung out with a Caucasian family in the summer, has a weird story of a kingpin. Yeah. As a kid, Luca game winner was definitely baskets manipulation, TJ. Nice state you have. I mean, they're out there. They're out there. And this, you know, that's why I'm saying all these local states need to come. This Floyd shit's about to end. This Floyd shit is about to end, and we need everyone up here that can come. We need doctors. We need nurses. We need water, food, anything you can bring. If you can come to Minnesota in the days when they're about to release this shit, we need all the help we can. We need the most melanated people who can come. Or whoever can come, we need them to come. The Carter. Yes, the Carter. Well, the Carter was kind of a thing out of Detroit, but yeah. So they are. So that's what we need in this state. And we got Chicago close. We got Milwaukee close. We're 5 hours from both Kansas cities. So all the melanated people that can come to, all the people that are real people can come to Minnesota, we need them to come. And we need a show of force here. We need a show of force here. So people, we need a people's army to come here to Minneapolis. Now, the weather is going to change. It's kind of cold, and I think they're keeping it cool on purpose because it was hot. But bring blankets. There's plenty of room. We can find just room if people want to put tents and shit up. There's already homeless tents, and again, the weather's not terribly bad. So this is the kind of support we need. We need, what do they call it? The grassroots support, but we need numbers here. That's what we need, numbers. And again, it's so funny that you hear be nonviolent to motherfuckers that's been violent towards you. How does that make any sense? Falling up the stairs, Joe said that. Well, we need peaceful protests. Wait a minute. When has violence, like if you go in there and fight a war, you don't stop and say, well, let's have peaceful protest after I bomb the fuck out you. And that's what they've asked. They've said peaceful protest after you've been bombed. Now, I heard, now this could be a rumor. I haven't been over to substantiate, but I've heard they've went. So basically it would be, it'd be a long way. It would be a good 6 miles in town. And they've been looting that, where it would be Broadway and Penn. I've heard that they've started on some of those businesses. I'm not sure. But that's a nice long way. The way it's set up is there's a back way you can go out there where you drive under the bridge, under the highways, under the expressway to get out there. It's a very small area that's out there. Mostly Africans, as I've said before, mostly Africans live in that area. It's Brooklyn Park, and then it's Brooklyn Center, or it's Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park. I get them mixed up. But they're two little towns, right. But it's like where the police station and all that is, there's not much there. It's really not much there. So it's very small. To drive by. Do you think these people should stay inside so they won't get hurt? Because I see the city going up in flames. Sebastian, I think the people should be in the streets. We on the road to communism. Well, yeah. When I lived in DMV, they all praised Rayful. Oh, I know. I was up there that summer. He got popped, and my sister-in-law knew she knew some people that knew that the white chick that Rayful, that they say was the one that gave state's evidence against him, but he was again a government agent. But it was the same thing. Everybody was talking about him. He's going in there back when you didn't, $10,000 wasn't a limit or a red flag, and just buying, the whole crew vets and shit. But I mean, government shit. He's always doing government shit. Even if you follow their stories are government stories. Government-made stories, like boom, just like the way they handcuffed him and put him in a helicopter. It was all staged, all a show, because he was an agent. That's why he continued being an agent in prison. Got cool with some Colombians to try to take the Colombians down, which they did. But again, they all still working for the government. Jeffrey said to drive by. Yeah. So that's what we've been facing. But the baseball game was today. The Timberwolves played early. I missed it because it was an early game. I think they played at 3. I know it was done early. So, and that's what's been going on in this world. But again, I live that place up there about 50 minutes from me. I would say roughly 30 miles. Yeah, probably about 30, 35 miles. It'd take me about 45. I can't be more than 30, 40 miles, if that. But it would take me about 50 minutes to drive, just the way the highways are set up. It's really no straight shot I could take. I'd have to go into the city, and then I would take Penn. Penn will run you straight out. Once you get in the city, I could take Penn. That's like with the lights and shit. I'd hit all the lights if I went that way, compared to going around, I think it's 494, and take the 694. And then I would get off, and there's an exit that you go back in there. Again, it's car dealerships, and I know they ain't getting near them, but that's a little area with nothing but car dealerships. So, you think serial killer government agents or cult groups? It's a good question. Isn't it miraculous that it ain't never went away? Isn't that miraculous? The serial killing has never went away. Like I've talked many times. I was talking to my mother the other day. She's watching John Wayne Gacy, who killed one of my classmates. He killed little Bobby Winch. Little Bobby Winch was killed by Gacy. And, Bobby Winch was probably only 5'1", 5 foot in 8th grade. All his family was short. And he was taking acid in 8th grade. And he'd come into school and be bombed. It's funny, be bombed. I don't know what happened to him because seventh grade, he was a normal little dude. By eighth grade, he's high all the time. Uh, when I was in eighth grade, it was probably 74, 75, somewhere in there. And, hitchhiking was normal. I've told the story before. I had a girlfriend that lived about 10 miles away. She'd fucking hitchhike, get on the highway, hitchhike to my house. And my dad would always offer her out. She's like, I'm okay. I'll hitchhike back home. And it was like pretty much a straight shot once she got on the highway and got a ride. But still, it's a hell of a way to move around. But back then they would move you around. Our series, I mean, I think they would be sleeper agents, considered sleeper agents, and they would do things to set them off. But I want to get the reason why I brought Gacy up. When Gacy got caught, Gacy said, "Who else did you catch?" Like it was other motherfuckers torturing young men and sodomizing them and shit. So I think a little bit of both. Well, they now looking casually sharp, 8-1. Well, hey now, it's Overstand Mocha. Thank you. Yeah, this is one of my oldest hats. This hat has to be 10 years old. But I love it's kind of the Apple style. As when I was a boy, these hats was called the Big Apples before they was called Kangos. It was called Big Apple hats, Apple hats, or even you can go back further. I think they were called Newsboy hats. We come from a society where everyone up to the point of 1960, everyone wore hats all the time. I mean, literally everyone. Look at there's a speech by Booker T. Washington. He's wearing a hat while he's giving the speech, and you look out at all the Indians, and all the Indians is wearing hats. This is the thing that we've always had our head covering. I mean, we didn't wear the war bonnet shit like that, but we always had head coverings. There's many different styles of head coverings. Again, it's to protect the crown. That's the point of the hat, is to protect the crown, because there's a lot of fog out there, but a simple hat can break a lot of that fog. I mean, I know a lot of people just consider the witch's hat as something with magic, but almost every hat has a type of magic. That's why they say the rabbit coming out of the hat. Give one to you. They probably use the Colts as a guise. Definitely. Was watching that Jeffrey Dahmer movie. Wonder why do they praise these people? Again, yeah, they don't take them off. It's like Hitler. He's on less than he was, but it was one point Hitler was on every damn day. Every damn day. The History Channel, the Army, American Heroes Channel. American Heroes Channel showed constant Hitler. Constant Hitler. So they don't hate these motherfuckers like they try to show. Thank you. Military, it's like you get brainwashed and manipulated. You don't know it. Absolutely. But that's what it's for. It's for to manipulate you and brainwash you. I've told the story many times. My friend, who's not with us anymore, but he went to Fort Knox and went to tank schools. And his attitude, we was just rapping. His attitude was like, there's nothing in the world could stop an Abram tank. Nothing. And I'm like, and this is, I didn't have the internet, but I'm like, man, they can, there's a type of bazooka, actually more like an RPG that can shoot some shit up in your tank and fuck y'all all up. And he was like, what? Like, yeah, they got some shit that they can shoot in one man, just shoulder shoots it and could kill all y'all in the tank. That shit cost about $2 grand. Your shit cost hundreds of thousands. And he hadn't thought about it. He was like, yeah, I heard about those. But we would blow him out. I'm like, what if you don't? What if you don't know he's there? The motherfucker shoot that hot ass shit that melts the goddamn metal and you up in there. He never got that chance because he was murdered before that happened. And murdered by a cop's brother, and that helped get him off. Another guy held him. It was like two of them was fighting. The guy went between my friend and I don't know if my friend had a knife or the other guy had a knife, but a guy stopped my friend from fighting back, and the other guy stabbed me, killed him. And then with adrenaline moving, instead of him just staying where he was and be getting help, adrenaline, he took off running and ended up dying like that. And the guy did not get for murder. Yep. Stay on replay. Shit, stay on replay. Yeah. I believe people want to be slaves because people are just talking about what's going on, and that's all people will do. People are comfortable slaves. People are comfortable slaves. This COVID has made people comfortable, even more comfortable slaves. But even before COVID, we were the most comfortable slaves in the world. I mean, think about it. They give you a TV, they give you internet, they give you these phones. When you engaged in this shit, you ain't thinking about revolution. You ain't thinking about shit, but how can I be entertained? Like my ex would say, when she got off work, she didn't want to think. And that's how a lot of people feel. When they get off work, they don't want to think. They just want to be entertained. They want their mind off the stress of work. Oh, I think I messed up. Let me see something. I think I messed up. Maybe I didn't. Let me check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Oh, here we go. I think I put the wrong. I think the date. I did. I knew that. Oh. I wasn't thinking ahead. That's all right. And Conscious Daughter says I should start giving readings myself. I guess I do need to practice. I'm pretty good at that shit myself. I haven't really started as a hustle, but I could. That old man, I think slavery would never be. I agree, Jeff. I think slavery will never die. You know how this world is ran. Yeah, it won't die. We are the slaves. Again, I can't stress enough. I don't care what comes. Okay. But you never die. So why make that proclamation? Ends when people are not scared to die. That's true. I'll agree with that. He says slavery ends when people are not scared to die. Exactly. Because you never really can die. You never really can die. And it's not a matter of energy never dies. It's just a matter of that you can't die. How do you do readings? I have several ways. Like this comes from readings. And you can do readings with this card. I use these cards the most, but I've got 1, 2. I used to just give people crystal cards. I used to just give crystal cards out and give the potential of each card. And then I have 2 of these sets. One is a newer set. And then I'm sorry if I didn't show it. And then I have the very well taken care of first print, I believe, of these cards. These cards are very old, but they are in great condition. These cards are more vibrant than those, and these are much older. I think this is original 76 set. So I use a little bit of all these. And, I do the pendulum work, so I do pendulum work as well. Did I bring my pendulum book in here? I interpret dreams too. So my governor is mad that he can't give. They're here. Yeah, they've stopped as well. Again, I think Mayo got in on it not being having problems. And they've tried to fast track this thing. It's not approved. It's not an approved vaccine. It's like when I take Concentrix, it's not approved like that. I just know Concentrix makes my shit quit hurting. And this is the thing. Even if you've taken the plunge, if you're mentally strong enough, it can't do anything to you. And I'm not saying take it, but I'm saying if you are mentally strong enough, no matter about that shit. But I do want to show something that is fucking amazing. This shit is so amazing. Let me find this. Okay, I'm gonna have to go into it. See how well it'll show. I'm not a screen sharing motherfucker. It's funny how people want to debate me on this shit, and I'm good at this shit. Ooh, let me see if this is show. That is inside a human cell. Now, the way the shots work is this is your DNA inside. Okay, your DNA would sit inside of this cell. So the reason why it was a two-part shot is one shot is to open this cell up, open where it will accept the DNA. So one part was to get into the cell, open it up, prepare it for the DNA. Then the second shot is to attach to your DNA. But that is, so this is the war right now, is to go in there. Now, one thing I do, and you all can do it too, and you don't just need acupuncture to do it, but we have meridians in us. That's where that Star Wars shit is. We have shit inside of us that help heal us, natural little things that help heal us. And you can talk to that. Acupuncture helps you talk to your internal self. A lot of people don't teach that it's important to talk to your internal self. Your fucking heart's hurting, fucking talk to your heart. Stomach hurts, talk to your stomach. We're not taught that though. We put the healing in other people's hands, but you should be the first healing of your own body. Today I took a little stroll today. Weather's been kind of fucked up here. But that is on you to know your body. You should be able to peel off all this shit and they welcome you inside because there is a world. That's one thing that chakras kind of, even though I don't use that shit, but it tells about the different worlds inside of your body. There's universes going on inside of you. And you should be a part of that universe. Most don't. Most ignore that. And it's not that I think you ignore it. It's just I don't think you are made aware. Western medicine doesn't make you aware that you can get in tune to all that. Yoga pushes that a little bit. Like I talk about, even though I have a beer gut, I always am still working on my diaphragm. I always want to be able to get this weight, get this air in here. Again, I'm not a big breather when I meditate, but when I do meditate, I will bring these airs from my diaphragm and I'll release it. So I'll get that big breath. Again, I have asthma, so what I miss. I have a question about female energy at the moment. It seems the majority of my friends are in conflict with their women. Is there some sort of spell that was cast with the Grammys? All biz, I will say this. I think we're all under a little stress. You know, a lot of things are moving, but it's definitely, I've even, like I had to snap at my daughter last night and today. You know, I was trying to meditate and she just kept fucking with me. She's sitting here and I'm sitting a few feet away and she wouldn't quit fucking with me. I was cooking a pizza. And I snapped at her last night for being ungrateful. You know, girls will cry. And then, but with all the women in my life, actually, I'm not really beefing myself, but I can see that point. And it's a lot of stressors going around. So that could cause that too. So it's not uncommon to see one attack on one or the other. So not surprised. Try to let it go by you though, if you can. How do you feel about dreams? I feel like dreams are your other self in another reality. I had a dream, felt too real a few nights ago, like I knew where I was. Again, one thing I don't have to argue is we have a screen. That's where they get TV from. We dream into screens. And I'm telling you firsthand from seeing this shit and can sit. There's a reality, and some motherfuckers can't get in that reality. I noticed I had to battle a dude or bean, and motherfucker got in that shit, and that shit just like when the witch got water thrown on her, that motherfucker, that shit disintegrated his ass. I'm like, okay, you want to keep playing follow the leader? Like, how you gonna come in here? And he hit that reality, and that shit just like ate his ass up. So we dream in the screen. It goes directly to a screen that's about 3 feet above our feet. And the screen is only about 3 or 4 feet high, but that's where our dreams go into that, everyone. And I'm sure that's where television comes from, I'm sure. And you know, the thing is it feels so real, see if it's lucid. And if it's lucid, start using it to do your things. Because it is kind of another reality. But lucid is where you can have control. Lucid is, you can get so good at lucid, you can get up and go pee, lay back down, and get right back in the dream. Motherfuckers would be just like this, and you'd be like, okay, I'm back, let's go. But lucid is a way to start building, your spiritual consciousness, your spiritual control as well. The power in the world, as they say. Yo, do they take COVID tests for 19 by nose? I think my son just got one of that. Yeah, he just got one where they dug up his nose. Be like water. There you go. It's not the spoon that bends, rather you try to bend. There you go. There you go. I'm going to need to grab something. So let me grab this right quick. Excuse me. There you go. Didn't have far to go. I'm trying to get my ankle right. It's as though I'm right there. Sometimes I have to wake myself up because I felt it was too real. James, they doing anal test. One thing, like I always talk about, when you come into a dream, or even if you go on a quest, a vision quest, one thing you have to consider is if you run into an unagreeable thing or monster, you can ask it. It's a good thing to ask, like, what the fuck is up with you? Because, again, if you're lucid, you can protect yourself. Be like, what are you doing? Why are you attacking this shit? I can't say it works every time, but remember, the dream, you are in pretty much control. You should be. And ask it, like, what is your purpose? Why are you attacking? Why are you chasing me? Because I'm going to duck you and dodge you all day. So, I mean, the same ducks and dodges you do in real life, you can do in dreams and figure out, and it's better in dreams. You can be like Superman in the dream, or you can say, I'm Flash, and the shit can never catch you. Like, what is your problem? And you zipping all around that thing. What do you want? And the thing is, remember this, is to make the unagreeable agreeable. You want to make it agreeable. Our COVID, exactly like death. It'll be weird if you just head to another reality. Kind of funny if you think about it. It is. It's nothing to fly. I try to imagine myself doing stuff like flying or something. Kind of sort of works. It does, Rocky. When I fly, I always turn around and fly backwards. I love that shit. Like I'll zoom up in the air and I'll just turn around and fly backwards. I love flying backwards. When I'm flying, to me, that's the most comfortable. I remember I was flying backwards with some other people. They were just kind of cracking up. They was like, you prefer that? And I'm like, this is the coolest shit in the world, to be like swimming backwards, to just fly backwards. That is how I like to fly. I guess the point is choosing your path. Kind of, yeah. What are they going to go around testing ass? It doesn't make sense. That's what they say they was doing in China. Does the world run on numerology? Well, this is the thing. All is revealed. So this evil shit they do, they have to reveal it. They do. And the way they reveal it is through their stories with numerology. Zach is on point with that. But that's not the end of the story. Because there's spiritual ways they push this shit too. And the numbers don't tell that part. Because almost every time there's a spiritual thing. When it deals with everybody, it's a spiritual thing besides these stories too. And what are they trying to achieve spiritually? The numbers don't tell about that. Now, you can do the matches sometimes, but it doesn't tell the whole story. I guess the point is choosing, a anal test. It's very unagreeable. Yeah, it's very. What does the mark of the beast 666 mean? I mean, it's 6 atoms. What is it? 6 protons. 6, it's to do with energy. But they use it in a negative way to think that this is the name they give the me or the my. They give the my that name. The me or the my, they give it that name. That's the name it chose for itself, to be fearful. And so you look at all these kind of codes they put into that. And it's supposed to be the number of evil. But again, what is 6 protons, 6 neutrons? And that it also comes from that as well. So they try to take this stuff and put an evil spin on it. And so you look at it and think it's evil. But it is the name of the beast. It is the name of the me or the mind. PG, don't make sense to have an alien in your asshole. Symbolism too. Yeah, it is. It's like the negative symbolism. Right. So, Zach is my man. I ain't got nothing against Zach. I don't think he tells the whole story, and that's on him. That is on him. That is not on, me, or that is not on any of y'all. That's on him. If he doesn't think that the Jewish faith people have any control, okay. To me, that's telling half the story. That's all. It's not telling the full story. You got to tell the full story because they work for the Jewish faith people. They are the CIA, like the Jesuits are the army of the Jewish faith people, and they've always been that way. They've got everybody fooled to think that the Vatican isn't the Jewish faith people. That's what everybody's food is. Conversos. You can go back and look at all these popes. I don't think I have any of the books right here. But a lot of these dudes was Jewish. Why do you think they wear Jewish attire? Why do you think they still basically worship Bala Marduk? This apple back there. What do you think that comes from? Do you think that's supposed to be for the good of man? Do you watch them? 999 equals 666. Yes, it does. It's insane. Do you watch them? Napario Queen. I must have missed you. Are the COVID tests dangerous too? They could be. I talked about a young man that got killed taking a test last summer. He was a homeless dude, and some reason they got him up in the jail or in the hospital by himself and punctured his brain sticking that shit. Oh, did you? No, I have not watched that. It didn't really interest me. I have not watched that yet. I know Super Sly did a thing on it, but I didn't watch that. Then the series, y'all, that didn't really interest me. It didn't seem like anything new. And listening to Sly, he sounded like it wasn't good at all. So, no, y'all, I didn't catch it. I have not caught it. It didn't seem interesting. I'm trying to think what movies do I got to go through still. Let me see. Because I haven't even watched them since I watched King Kong. I ain't even really tried to check out what movies is new and shit to watch another movie. Okay, I gotta go through this bullshit first. All right. They give a fucking commercial you gotta go through. And then you just mark it away. So, Banging a Line, The Marksman, Secret Society doesn't seem very interesting. Thunder Force definitely doesn't seem very interesting. I would never watch Boogie. Rava is a movie my daughter's been watching. So, trying to think any other new movies here. Girl in the Basement. Why would I want to see a motherfucker torture a bitch in the basement? What is this? Held. This looks interesting, but I haven't watched that yet either. So, haven't really watched a lot of shows lately. Snowpiercer, that's a TV. I watched 1 or 2 episodes of the Captain America shit, so haven't been watching it. It wasn't interesting. She's talking about the TV show. I watched first episode. I knew where it was going. Wasn't interesting. What about Michael Jackson's dad? Oh, I have to check that out. I haven't watched it. Racism porn. Haha. PJ, have you ever seen some real shit? Human relations. Yeah. What's your favorite cereal? My favorite cereal is probably I'm from Battle Creek, not Battle Creek, but I'm from Michigan, so Frosted Flakes or regular Corn Flakes is probably my favorite cereal. Or Honey Bunches of Oats. Ernice. So that's what it is. I watched Surprise to do a breakdown. I'm glad I didn't watch it. The show had too many triggers. Just didn't seem good. No good movies right now, sadly. Back to the Future was on tonight. Okay, Crazy Sarge. Hey, Mr. T. Gamey, thank you. Michael Jackson's dad. No, I didn't check that out. I didn't even know Joe had did one. I didn't even know Joe had did a thing on Michael from Joe's perspective. He probably ain't got the lash out as often. Because what did Eddie Griffin say? Joe beat them to start him. But there was all kind of fucked up rumors about Joe. That Joe was abusing Reby and Joe abused Reby, and the one that got the big boobs that had one of the biggest Playboy spreads ever, that one, the one in the middle. So it made you wonder why she turned weird. But Michael Jordan's dad. Oh, okay. Oh, I like Cinnamon Crunch. I'll tell you, if you like Cinnamon Crunch, they got some. What's the Kurt Cousins cereal? They got a box with Kurt Cousin on it. It's not the Cinnamon Crunch though. No, I didn't watch the Michael Jordan Daddy, but that was always suspicious, and it was done like a mob hit. They put that car out there. They took his body out. They left that car there open, hoping some people would come upon it. And that's what it sounded like. The boys came upon the car abandoned and started calling and driving a Lexus. Again, at that time, that was a brand new car within a year of being a new car. I think it had the calling, the cell phone attached to it and everything. So that was a type of hit. But just as what was done to Tiger Woods, where they just beat the shit out of him, they killed Air's dad. That was his price, though. That was his price. Because, again, look at his sacrifice. He had already won 3 championships. So look at the sacrifice he made. We'll take your daddy out and we'll make you a billionaire. You own the team. I think he thought that was a good agreement for his personal self. Maybe for his family. Do you think this Little Nas character twerking on the devil and shit is music? Yeah, Malik, it was some fucked up shit. It's fucked up look. Very fucked up look for youth and with children looking at that shit. But it's done to make other young motherfuckers think, I can do this and this is all it takes for me to make it. I can think of some creative shit and I'll bend over and I'll do this and then, I'll make it. So that's the thing about it. Now, PJ, we was just talking about that. Isn't 666 what makes the melanin in black people, but they portray it as the beast? There you go, woke. I think, yeah, it is some of that. Yes. Frosted Flakes are great. Yes, they are. Yes, woke. That is part of it too. Melanin is in everything. I mean, melanin is in. That's the melanated people have more melanin just in your whole internal system too, as well. Melanin is universal. Look at some of the books about melanin and universal melanin. These are high-priced books because they don't want a lot of that information. Jordan's dad was a mental breakdown for Jordan. Well, I think, his gambling got out of hand too. I think his gambling got out of hand as well. Yeah, the youth kind of got worse of all the generations. Tyler, have you ever seen a person gather energy in a bad situation and bring people up like a real leader? Yeah, I talked about a guy, Kareem. Yeah, Kareem. When he started the Nation of Islam in Kalamazoo, a lot of people that was on heroin, and I watched him, do what the Nation had done in all these other cities, kind of clean up black folks, have black folks, dressing up, showing a pride of themselves. But I mean, he suffered like a lot of other people suffer later. He got addicted to crack. But yeah, I watched a person do that. There you go, Malik. 6 protons, 6 neurons, 6 electrons, the real devil number. If you want to call it a 616, there you go. We should watch Vontu Cut's video, Hamster Wheel. Okay. I'll have to remember that. I feel like I'm at my best when other people have lost hope. There you go. You still think. Do you think the 49ers taking Fields? Hard call there. Fields is dropping. I was watching some shit today. And again, they start putting all this dirt, especially on brothers. They don't want brothers to be the first pick. And he ain't going to be the first pick. It's going to be Lawrence. But they want to drop him and then another team that needs him. That's the whole script. Make him look bad or embarrassing. Remember Geno Roberts or whatever Geno was. Remember they embarrassed Geno? And he didn't get drafted till the next day. It was like a pity draft. Same thing with Johnny Football. Pity got drafted. There are some perverted apps coming out made for kids 3 years old. I've been looking at these like, I wish I could find the developer. There you go. Y'all know the black ink that the octopus spits out melanin. I did know that, all biz. When they say Mark Jones to the 49ers, why are they saying Mark Jones to the 49ers? Because he is the type of quarterback that coach likes. That Shanahan. Shanahan wants that type of player. a player that's tested to play against the top competition, but we haven't had a good quarterback from Alabama since who? Since who? Probably Kenny Stabler. I mean, Alabama ain't known for quarterbacks. Saban ain't known for developing quarterbacks. So a lot of people stay away from the Alabama quarterbacks. Now, the cat that's with the Eagles now he went to Oklahoma. So where was he developed? Did he develop his skills in Alabama or did he develop his skills at Oklahoma? I'd say a little bit of both. Ernie says, how do you feel about ASMR? I watch ASMR videos on YouTube to help me relax and fall asleep. Your thoughts? I don't know what that is, but I do listen to Quantum of Science and sometimes sleep. Now, if you're just talking about relaxing stuff, please, I don't really know that name, but the cat that I relax to is called Stardust Relaxing Sounds. No, I don't know who that is. You'd have to tell me who that is. I don't know. Ernice, I do not know. Ernice, I do not know that name. I think I have to take the COVID because my dad wants to travel this summer. I don't know how much longer I can hold off. Well, hold off as long as you can. But if you're strong enough, to overtake that, don't take, if you say it can't hurt you, it won't. You don't have to do anything. You have free will. Thoughts on Bobby Hemmet? He's taking a bunch of BS, or what do you think? Well, I mean, Bobby is a Pan-African, but Bobby is one of the best ever to break the books out and the messages out of the books, out of the information, and then give it to people. He's one of the best ever for that, because a lot of people can read books and don't get anything out of it. Again, when I talk about this book, me and Bomber got completely different things out of this book. And then the way he presented it and the way I present it, we present two different things almost. So Bobby was very good at that, getting the information out and then passing it on to people. Now, he does give it from an African perspective, but that's discernment. That's discernment. You can overlook that kind of thing. But yeah, Bobby, like when Bobby says they make people scared of our own science, my brother has furthered some of that work in saying that a lot of this is something that I know. A lot of these, what was called demons, is things that were American gods at one time that helped America fight for a long time. And they're demonized now. And so this is their fear of them being released. Because the better we vibrate, the more they're coming out. I found a book, and the book talks about this war. And I read very little fiction, but this fiction books, it just kept pestering me. It's like, you got to get this information. I see where it is, and the information is this stuff is released. It is going to help the melanated people. That's just how it is. This stuff is refused to be bound and binded. Refuses that. Refused to be the birthday circle with the candles. And so if this stuff is released, we might have some help coming. We might have some help coming. And that's Bobby brought a lot of that up. They pay attention, and they are making Curry the main center of NBA, and he's getting ratings back. Would you be surprised if they make it to the finals? Yeah, they're going to have a long road, because you're going to have a play-in game. And the play-in game, they're going to have to play the number one team. Now, right now, who's number one? Phoenix. Phoenix is number one. Murray just got hurt for Denver. That's going to hurt them tremendously, but they say they're picking up Doc Rivers' son, Austin Rivers. Not quite as strong scorer, but can score. Not losing a lot of size. I think Austin is about 6'5", and Murray was about 6'6", 6'7". So not losing a lot of size defensively. So whoever they're matched up against, and maybe the Clippers won, maybe it's Phoenix 1, Clippers 2, or Clippers 1, something like that. And they're going to, come in at a bottom seed and have to play the top now. Now, they love Curry. They're hoping for him. Luka, too. They want Luka in the playoffs. I don't know how far they can push him. But I saw it. That's why I did the video on it. You see a 90% free throw shooter. All of a sudden, he blows 2. So, yes, they're going to ride Steph so far, especially with, LeBron being out. You notice that Durant being out and LeBron being out and Davis being out. I mean, I don't think that Murray faked his injury. He landed kind of funny, but the play wasn't necessary. If he made it, it wasn't going to really help him win. So I didn't understand why he was out of control there. But octopus are super intelligent. They can open jars, figure out mazes, and astonishing speed. Plus, they can escape from a simple aquarium, climb into another to consume the fish inside, and then go back to its tank. Well, I believe they said that that's one of the only animals or creatures on Earth where their DNA does not appear to come from Earth as well. So it's an interesting thing. The Kraken was a type of octopus. Was Pete Rose the only major to bet on sports? No, and I've said that before. He was one of the best at it, though. But no, there was other players like Willie Randolph. Willie Randolph that played for the Yankees, notorious gambler, always broke because he's betting on sports. So Willie Randolph too. Escapes aquarium. He bit as a fool saying he's the dominant shot. It's more like Hakeem. Yeah, that's a great thing. Hakeem wasn't that tall either. He's taller than Hakeem. Agree, but Magnus can make anyone be good, right? So the Warriors won't surprise me. Yeah, that aspect. Yeah, they did it. What, they went to the 4 out of 5 years? They took that weak team to the finals? Yeah, and that 50-point game, I watched that game, and it was just ridiculous. They showed a video of Little Nax spinning a sign for money. Interesting. I don't think Kevin Durant has it anymore because of the injury he had. That's could be why they're slowing down. Achilles injuries are hard for a bigger person to come back. Shaq never came back from it. Look at the big fella he's with the Clippers now. Used to play, his name will come to me in a minute, but he used to play down in New Orleans, that cat that's been jumping around ever since he got hurt. He's not the same player. So that is one injury that's hard for bigger guys to come back from. So we'll see with Durant. Again, durability and what did they say? Availability. Is the biggest thing. Availability. He does not appear to have the availability. I was wondering, how do I explain the technology they use for NBA shots to go into my friends? He's a beginner. Well, basically, I think some people are right when they say the old missile or some of the missile technology helps it as well. But if you looked at how the old system was, again, they had to bounce the ball up. Again, going back to Don Nelson, how they had to bounce the ball up and then home it in. It appeared like they were only able to do it once on the very first system. And then we get Jerry West shot from half court. Then we go into the Ralph Sampson shot that beat the Lakers. Again, a very short shot. He kind of just threw the shit over his shoulders. If you look, he half turns around, he throws it up. So it appears like at first they were able just to help 1 or 2 shots a game. But then we go into the Georgetown finals and we see the full system in use the whole game. And it's a player that averaged 2 or 4 points. Jensen, all of Sudden, makes 7 threes. And they shoot 70% from the field. So that was the first game I recognize as the system being fully used. And so to make it easy to understand is there's type of magnetics with, I would say even, I don't even know I want to say that, but I'll say that. But it's type of magnetics and magnets in the ball, and it's attraction that brings it to where the rim breaks. That helped them. So that gave them a place to put that break. So you see the ball attracted. And you can see what systems used. Like a couple videos I showed where you see the high bounce, that's the old system. For some reason, that place has the old system. The new system makes it roll. And it can damn near roll out, defy gravity, and then roll back in. So it's an attraction in where the rim breaks. That's the main attraction where they can bring it back. That's why the old system, it comes to the back and then bounces up, because that's, you look at the area of where they're trying to hold it, because it appears with the old system, once they bounced it in the air, they could hold it like a cone of energy, could hold the ball in. So it didn't matter how many times it bounced, it was going to be held in. That was the older system. New system is a lot simpler. It can roll it around and hold it in. Now, I'll say this with the new system. The new system, so in the old system where it had to bounce it, one thing that the new system did is it could roll it around and push the balls out. So some kind of way they were able to hone that in. So instead of it needing it to bounce, they can just, once it catches, it pinballs kind of around. and drops it in. But that was the way they made shots miss. Again, they used to kill Wiggins with it. And it made me think, why didn't you just fucking dunk the ball? So he was with that. He knew if he laid it up, they would spin it out. Hey, Chanel, thank you for joining me. There's a commercial. I'm going through it. Let's see. Automotive Century Meridian response. It's relaxing. Okay. Often a sedative sensation begins on the scalp and moves down the spine. Interesting. Hey, Soap, thank you for joining me. Charlie Hustle. Yep, I'm going through it. Neurovascular stress fracture. ATM needed screws. Young Mean better had the same surgery. Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that, Soap. Yeah, I wonder how tall you are, because a lot of tall guys seem to have those foot problems. There's a commercial from like 05 finals where, yeah, Blade with the magnets. Yeah, they mock the people. They mock the people. Yep. Schizophrenic or something. Emily Brown, are you seriously schizophrenic for something? Yeah, maybe I am, Emily Brown. Maybe I am. There we go. That answers your question, Emily. Fuck you, Emily Brown. Seeing that what truth is in plain sight. Peace and love. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Chanel, for the kind words. That's why them dudes that signed them contracts can't play pickup games like that, because they're not that good. Well, it's in their contracts too. That goes back into I think it's the Terry Durod. That's why Michael Jordan had to get for the love of the game, because Terry Durod played in a pickup game and tore his knee up, and they still had to pay him. I'm about 6'4", play Australian rule football. Oh, okay, so yeah. And I want to say this about Australian rules football. I look at the players, and they don't seem to suffer from the CTE as bad. Rugby players either don't seem to suffer from the CTE as bad. So that is one thing that I noticed as well, is that the helmets seem to cause more of the injury. I saw that, Emily. Yeah. Overstand. Hey, Overstand. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I think Emily was tripping on us tonight. So you can just watch or whatever you do, Emily. You ain't got to think about me no more. That's what I'll say. You ain't got to think about me. Okay, they're doing more studies on it. Okay. I guess my next question, do you know any old football players that seem like they have CTE? Because, my teammates is all in their 60s now. One of my teammates started having dementia at 50. And he just was a practice player, pretty much. He might have played one season, but the 2 years he played with me, he was a practice player. And he still got CTE, because in practice, he's always bumping heads to control their puppets. Yeah, they do. Do you think NFL knows that helmets create more concussions? Yeah, they've always known that. You didn't see the concussions with the leather helmets. It's like I know people in Michigan, I watched a study of because Michigan, like here, you don't have to wear a helmet here. But they were showing studies where the motorcycle helmets, a lot of times the initial concussion, again, you're flying off a bike, but the concussion sometimes could hurt you more than if you didn't have it. Again, pavement and a regular head just don't go together. But it was just showing studies where the motorcycle helmets in some ways make the injury worse. And the helmets have to be that, because because now the technology and sewing your knee back up and all that is in your shoulders, that technology is high, but it's the head things that's going to hurt football. So yeah, they know. Been a couple here that committed suicide due to having mental illness. Oh, okay. So thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. So he says, been a couple here that committed suicide due to having mental issues from so CTE. Wow, but not as bad. Okay. Wow. That is. Thank you for that. So that is so interesting. 94, I'd say the 90s. So that is interesting. Because I'd like to get somebody that played rugby, the same thing. Because rugby basically wears, they wear the ear protectors, because you see some rugby players getting the ear, the cauliflower ear that we see wrestlers getting. So Rugby sometimes has that in the soft helmets that they've been using for over 100 years, the soft type of helmets. And maybe that's because now, like the 7-on-7 leagues, that a lot of football is turning into a 7-on-7 just passing league. Ain't no running at all. So if you can score a touchdown on the pass, that's kind of our set up. But I think it's going to children to me shouldn't play tackle football until freshman year. I think that would help with injuries because we're seeing guys by the time they're seniors suffering from CTE because of I know when my son played in 5th grade, I watched him get a concussion one time. I had to hold him out of practice. I watched him just went head first, hit the pile, and just the way his body reacted, I knew he had a concussion. I had to pull him off. I say that second best in late early, like the better competition. There's combat boxing. Sports don't cause the type of brain injuries that football does. I agree to a point. Boxers still, boxers still suffer quite a bit too, though. I mean, you get so many blows to the head. That's my fear of Roy Jones fighting in his 50s, Mike Tyson. You can already hear it in Evander Holyfield's speech pattern that he's suffering. Like even Ali, I mean, yeah, when he fought Holmes, they shot some shit in him that fucked him up because they were fearful what he was going to do, and people followed him and loved him so much that they had to fuck him up. Excuse me, but you could see Ali like just decline his speech patterns. They did a thing. Matter of fact, they showed him sparring with this guy, and the guy's name was KP Porter, which was one of the best athletes to come out of Battle Creek, Michigan. This cat was All-American football and basketball player. I think he ended up going to, I don't even remember where he went to college. I think he played in the Midwest, maybe Central State, maybe Central, Michigan Central, or Central Michigan, I think it's called. But he also was fighting, and he played on my semi-pro team, and he was sparring with Ali. But you could hear it, Ali, just through the years. They did a thing through the years, and you could just see where he was getting slower and slower. And so made it sad. Yeah. Football like AAU, well, that's what it's coming to. That's what it's coming to. The 7-on-7 leagues, that's what they are. Again, I've talked about the 10 years that I ran flag league. And we, like the 7-on-7, just passing was called Air Force flag compared to full flag. Now we do have full tackle, no equipment leagues in America, semi-pro teams like that, where they don't wear any equipment. They haven't been organized long enough to know, the CTE advantages. But the one I ran at first was full contact flag. You could crack back, block, and everything. Just couldn't hold, couldn't tackle, but all the blocking was the same. No helmets again. They used the original football helmets from World War II in rugby. Yeah, the soft leather helmet. And I wonder, should they go back to something like that? I just wonder because, my first helmet was what they called old suspension helmets. So when they went to plastic helmets, what they did is they put a big piece in the helmet that was round and they had some straps running, and so that was called suspension. And then when you got the old Rydell helmets, what they did is they made little bitty squares. It wasn't this big, but they put like squares in the helmet. Some were this big, like the ones down the middle were this big, but they put these squares in the helmets. And then when I was in 9th grade, one of my friends, his father was the equipment manager at Western Michigan. And then you started seeing air helmets. So he wore, I was in 9th grade, you could still wear your own helmet as long as it was white. He had an air helmet. When I went to college, we used the old Rydells. Again, I went to black college in the late 70s, early 80s. We used the old Rydells that had those individual little squares in it. And, my teammates ain't doing too well. They're not doing too well. A lot of these cats having the same issues, memory and all that. You see that one on Messenger, Reddit. How do you let me see, football. James Tooney doesn't have good activity in his speech. That's interesting because he fought little old too, Tyrone. I'm lucky not to have a concussion, not as yet. Okay. Like I talked to, my concussions. My first concussion was I slipped on a pass and maybe the ball was intercepted. I don't know. But when I went to get up, a guy just caught me perfectly with his knee. and it knocked me out I was knocked out on my feet. And then the biggest one I had caught a pass and ran about a 40. I almost had a touchdown. They tackled me on the 2 or 3, and 2 safeties hit me helmet to helmet, and I was knocked out. I got up and walked to the end zone. I've told this story. You watch me anytime. I've told this story many times. I stood there for about 5 minutes and nobody came and got me. I was just looking in the stands. And after a while, I think somebody started pointing to me and they came and got me. And then they put smelling sauce. And that is why I'm suing the NCAA today. You guys know about Nikola Tesla purple plate necklace? No. Tell us about that. I'm not hip to it. They're humiliating. Oh, they're humiliating. Okay. You see what I sent you a messenger? Read the title. It's crazy. Yeah, it is, Jeff. It is crazy. You guys know about, I don't know about the purple plate. You have to hip us to it. They sure, where I hated those helmets, and the foam was hard inside the helmet too. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I told this, I bought my first helmet from like Grant's. It was a New York Giants helmet. And this helmet was like totally foam. This was a totally foam helmet. My first helmet. Why that happened. Okay. I had to turn my mic back on. Sorry. Had to turn the mic back on. Sorry about that. Yeah, Malik, I hated those helmets. Oh, Tucker, damn, I miss Lights Out Tony. Used to teach Impact Wednesdays. Wow, I didn't know that. At Nice Training Center. Both he and James are very nice. Yeah, I met Tony. He is a nice cat. It's not even just about head hits. You can also occur from getting hit in the body, rattles the whole body and brain. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Hey, Sovereign Queen, there she is. I don't hear any sound. You back? Yeah, my audio went back. Thank you guys. When I plugged the computer in, it kicked the sound off for some reason. That might be something in the audio update. Yeah, so I went out. I had to plug my daughter been sitting here on the computer all night. Well, thank you, PJ. It was a temporary thing, so sorry about that. Yeah, I know it went out. Yeah, I figure you can get me back. So sorry about that temporary thing. I don't know why my computer just wasn't plugged in. Love the art behind you. Well, thank you. This is Starface, the Great Bacall. That's called the captive seat. Actually they found this. Of course, that's the calendar, the sun calendar, and then this shows the sacred ball game. And it's like another question I wanted to put up here, show people. And this is just the advertisers and shit, the motherfuckers that support the show. But there's another thing on here, like I can show this. This is called yolks. And this is what they would. Now, yolks are kind of funny because as you see here, you could use yolks to kind of hit the ball with your hips or elbows. But a lot of times they were just ceremonial because these things are heavy as fuck. But they didn't do that anywhere else. They ain't finding these yolks over in Africa. They're not finding these yolks anywhere but where they play the continuous ball game. So, tell all the story, guys. They made him blow 3-1 lead. Oh, and then a guy threw a no-hitter today, too. And then Slick Leonard died. I don't know if y'all know who Slick Leonard was. Slick Leonard hit the 1953 free throws that won it for Indiana. Slick Leonard won 3 titles. Or Slick Leonard played with the Pistons, maybe? Maybe it was Fort Wayne Pistons at first. I think he ended up with Chicago, too. But Slick Leonard coached the ABA to 3 titles. He won 3 titles with the ABA. He died in his 80s today. They made him who joined the team that beat him, burner account. And recently he had the altercation with the Rappaport. Oh, he's a superstar, is about to lose it for the script. Oh, yeah, well, that made no sense to go back. Well, then he went back and forth with Shannon Sharp, too, talking about you'd never talk to me. Yeah, they manipulated. That guy, they say, inside some type of spacecraft. No spacecraft. What he is showing is And this is how you know that the Mayan and the Omen still, again, the Omen didn't disappear supposedly till 6 something. He was born in 603 AD and lived to be 660, 670 AD, lived about 70 years old. But what you have here is the consciousness of the were baby. You have the jaws of the jaguar. And up here you have the Quetzalcoatl, the divine spirit of the Mayan. And so what he's showing you is that he was exposed to both type of sciences. He was exposed to both sciences. So it has nothing to do with, a spacecraft. But that's the ancient alien shit. If they don't understand it, had to come from somewhere else instead of giving melanated people. But that's what all this means. It's not that he's a spaceship. He's trying to show you that he is between both. He has both spiritual connections to both. And I find, where is it at? And it's smaller on here. I need to look at the big picture to get my perspective. Oh, okay, it's smaller. But this I found is a gateway to get into this. Yeah, that's a gateway. I have a big poster of this. And that little thing right there is a gateway to get into this. So it's kind of deep. It's kind of like a mantra. I use it as a mantra, raise it up, get up in that shit. So yeah, he's not. It's just showing metaphor. It's just showing metaphor. You know about the Aussie explorer who went past the North Pole, talked about seeing multiple towns and cities. Yeah, I heard that. It makes you could be fake information too. Hard to say. You want to know a real fact? There's a Chinese family, Liu family. They run Japan, Taiwan, Vietnam, and all the Asian China. But the news doesn't like China. It's a game. There you go. Oh, you're welcome, Malik. Jamar had to be humiliated with porn tape. Now did his ACL too. Yeah, that it was like his. I don't know. They weren't going to win. His shot wasn't going to win the game. So I didn't know. I wonder why he went so hard. Makes more sense when what you're saying. Oh, okay, thank you. It's the highest levels. None of these people are enemies at all. It's just damn game. Thank you. Russia, no, they're not enemies because they do business together. They said Biden just put a thing out today that said they're going to stop American companies from doing business with China. Or not China, but Russia. Because Russia's fuck with the elections and all that kind of shit. So we'll see if they really do that. And then it was the interesting thing I was just listening about. They're saying if you leave Canada, so if you leave Canada and you come back to Canada, you've got to get tested. If you test negative, they're going to put your ass. If you test positive, they're going to put your ass somewhere until you test positive. Isn't that some shit? So you can leave, but when you come back, if your shit's funky, we putting you up at the state hotel. Oh, Biden's son literally working with the Russians. It does appear that. And it does appear they talked about Trump and the nepotism. They all do it. I need to read more of the books you recommend. It's it's a lot of them. I have a connection to South American spirituality system, and so I kind of dive deep in that. But I read a little bit of everything. I read a little bit of everything. So. But it's like I'm knocking down. Let me see. About to finish The Dying of Whiteness. I've got a book on Peru that I've got to finish. I think I'll be caught up. I've showed this book before, and I'm still kind of caught because these are real spells. They give you real sigils, and you're reading this shit. You're kind of like, you're kind of doing the work in a way, reading them. So I'm kind of torn. It's good to have this in case something comes up and somebody says maybe they're coming at you like this. Did you read this stuff? But reading it overall, I'm still kind of torn because you're pretty much reading spells. So, this is Motivite. I've switched to the smaller piece because the bigger piece is just a little too much. They think it might be what's causing the hand. I've got to go get MRIs and shit on my neck, but they're like suggested that I not wear the bigger piece. And so it's just a smaller piece. Matter of fact, I bought this for my son. He broke the chain, so it's just been in my room. So it's a smaller piece of Motivite. But what's his name? Robert Simmons, the guy who runs Heaven and Earth, the person that's the what is the word I'm looking for? The greatest intellect on Motivite. That ain't the word, but that's the only words I can come up with. But the greatest source about Motivite is Robert Simmons. And Robert Simmons actually, even though he sells this silver kind of thing, but he says that it probably resonates the highest with gold. And so I am trying to see if I can get that connection with the Motivite and the gold to see if it resonates higher with me. So, but yeah, Motivite. And let me see. One of these books has Motivite in it. She doesn't. Let me see. This is my other crystal book. Melody is her name. She has an older book with pictures. I think I'm gonna get that one eventually. Let's see. What possibility does she give? She might have it in here. No, she doesn't. Yeah, maybe. No, she does not have it. I thought she had a small little thing. Looks like she does not. Oh, here we go. 412. She doesn't say much because she says that so much has been written about it. $4.12. Is a tektite found in Czechoslovakia, was formed during meteorite action, which produced a strewn field of beautiful gems. One of the rarest varieties of tektites, and actually this is more glass than it is a true crystal. There's a complete book available where she's talking about Robert Simmons, but what she writes is Motivite is a stone to serve the inhibitions of this planet. It stimulates cooperation between those of extraterrestrial origin and those who experience life on Earth. It carries one beyond the mirage of life to a home from which one has been absent, providing the image of eternity and the vision energy to translate these images into reality. It holds immense potential for direct interdimensional accessing of higher dimensional galactic energies to draw into the Earth planes. These thought patterns and light vibrations, which are optimal to one's preparedness for ascension and illumination, it facilitates strong and clear and direct interdimensional interconnectedness between one's consciousness and the higher planes of light. It expands the scope and the magnitude of the vibration spectrums which one can approach, while allowing for a more encompassing passageway to those spectrums which one already has access. This is, one will see more clearly and will see an expansion of visions within the vibrational territory which one has ventured. One will be provided with the interconnected and the multidimensional horizons not yet experienced. It works well with the third eye. When used in areas of the hand, it also stimulates the capacity to feel the form of the massage and sometimes the form of communicator from whence the message comes. Yeah, some people get what they call a Motivite flush. It feels warm to them. It works well with quartz, which adds the amplification to it. It works extremely well with sugilite, celestite, aquamarine, diamond, lapis, and opal, producing overwhelming combination qualities which are quite productive to healing. The reader is encouraged to experiment with Motivite and to realize the potential of the stone with one's inner quiet. And the other thing is, don't buy it from the Chinese. If you can't, it's Robert Simmons runs Heaven and Earth. Kind of expensive. There's a more of expensive kind that's called Berenice, which is, and I don't have the bigger pieces out here with me. Quite expensive. I think, shit, I've got almost $1,000 in Motivite. Yeah, because that big piece I'll wear it was about $500. Probably worth more now. Make your next move. The crystal stuff's new to me. How does it bring everything together? Who found out about all these crystals and what they do? Now, if you live in Australia, you live around greenstone, and I do have greenstone because I keep it in my hat. I keep greenstone in my hat. Yeah, this is a type of jade that's only found in New Zealand, Australia. The light's not really giving any justice. Oh, there we go. Getting a little more color out of it. And greenstone is one of the oldest stones on the earth as well. And this is azurite for the blue energy. To answer your question, I mean, what they found is a lot of these stones were healing stones. That's what they found. I mean, you know, the Bible talks about priests wearing them in their breastplate because they felt that they amplified their strength. Some people even say motivite would be the Holy Grail. You know, I believe, I know that motivite was once on Earth and was attacked and blown up, and it landed there. That didn't necessarily come from something. It was already here on Earth, and something blew this up. It was so important to us at one point. And so you go back in history, like jade. Jade was more expensive, or jade, the American people felt that jade was worth more than gold. When you ask what Montezuma gave Cortez, he gave him a necklace of jade. They was just giving him gold, like, you want this shit? There was uses, but they felt that jade had a higher vibrational thing than the gold that the Europeans, wanted. So this is where the history goes back thousands of years. It's hard because I am so young. Most jobs here in Australia would make everyone take it in order to work. Wow, now that's so, I hadn't heard that. Wow, that is interesting. Wow, that is very, but yeah, I had someone in here saying they're from Australia. We got to connect. And he said he can get me more greenstone because I had to order that from heaven and earth. And I had to get that little piece. And I think that little piece, ooh, I've been ordered. That was a while, but I bet $30. That little piece, it was costly. Greenstone was very costly. You take money even before you go. First, try to get an exemption if you really want to stay there. Religious, healthy, yeah, exemption. Normalize society. What's happening? Gotta experiment with crystals yourself to see how they affect you personally, but they generally will always affect to extent the same energy as chakras, portals of chakras. I have a small motivite, was $80. Little pendant. Yeah, that's not common. This one, I bought this in 15. Man, how much was this one? I can't even remember, but it was probably 60, $70. The best deal I got, the big chunk I used to walk around with, I bought that at the perfect time. I paid less than $200, and that all of it's went up. I mean, it's rare. Matter of fact, they don't let people, where it's found in Czechoslovakia, they don't let people even go there anymore. And as I got more into it, I even found out you need to, like, when you buy it, like at a crystal shop, if they don't know where it comes from, you have to be kind of suspect. Again, you don't want to buy motivite from China. It's all fakes. They try to show you blue and red motivite. So yeah, you have to. But yeah, Sovereign, it's like I bought my daughter a little piece, and I think I paid because I think and that was definitely 15. I paid $32.15 for that. I didn't buy this. I bought this piece not far after. Can't really remember what I paid for this. It was probably more than 50. Yeah, definitely more than 50. And then I gave my son a piece And there I'm back. And there I'm back. Like, I don't understand what this thing is saying because my computer is showing me fine, full strength, but getting here, and I ain't even talking about nothing. But yeah, so I'll look up you some crystals. Quartz is kind of a good starting crystal. I'll give the divination too. So we are day 17. So we are 13 platoons, 0 katoons, 8 tunes. We are 7 Uno, and we are at 17 kin. And 17 kin is dun, 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 dun. Since I got this big bookmark, it's kind of throwing my place off. Ah, there we go. 17 kin is Cobbin. Earth force, synchronicity, power of intelligence, synchronization. The energy is from the east. And this is probably my favorite glyph. Is that one? See why they added some of this stuff? 15 seconds after. I'm back. Time Lord, slow down. So that's the glyph from the Mayan, the older glyph, and from the Toltec, it means Olin or movement. In this image, we see movement represented by the dying process, which doesn't lead to disappearance, but to movement and transmission. In the hand of the character, there's a parchment containing his or her life history, a representation of the recapitalization or relieving that we do at the moment of death. 4 energies are leaving the physical body of the dead one. From the base of the spine, the vital fire-like force, Ukwato, known in India as Kundalini, is moving away. From the belly button is a red serpent, representing the energy that needs to sustain the individual life is coming out. Emerging from the throat is a gray serpent, who is the head of Ikado, deity of the wind and spirits, which represents the emotional body. A 4th smaller serpent coming out the top of the head, representing the mind thinking body, is also abandoning the physical body. All these energetic serpents are not only disappearing, but also coming back to the world of energy that is surrounding the human being. The physical body, now an incomplete course, is also becoming part of the energy of the world, represented by the gray background. Soon there will be no trace of that person. In this card, we see the movement of energy that used to constitute the individual coming back to the origin of the endless ocean of energy and awareness, which everything comes from, which everything returns. So this, again, we're on a new cycle, and the new cycle is coming from the east. Olin represents the permanently impermanent nature of life. Life is impermanent in the sense that it's always changing, but is impermanent. Dynamic is the only thing that is permanent. The specific feature of life which troubles us the most, dealing with a world and with a life that never remains the same. Once we manage to understand and adapt to a specific moment or situation in life, it changes again and again, bringing new questions, new demands to adapt to everything else. The perplexity of this way can be expressed in the saying, when I finally get all the answers, all the questions have changed. The only way to be synchronous with a moving world is with a moving awareness. Not only that, but we need to develop a moving personality, a moving capacity for love, and so on. When you learned yesterday may not be enough for what you are facing today. You are not even the same person anymore. The realization of the world is a constant transformation of what brings forth and gives sense of the whole concept of personal growth and development, following a spiritual path. Because the world and your life is always changing. You have to make sure that you stay in motion too. You have to invent and reinvent yourself again and again in your life process. That is the only way to remain in step and balance with the ongoing motion of energy in your life. What you are seeing is just one of the sharp edges of life. Everything is dying from the moment it is born. You are seeing so many things going away that can take your breath away, but you must keep moving because there are a lot more coming towards you. So I hope that resonates with some people because we are always changing. We are always changing. We are always transforming ourselves. Uh, the spiritual path that I first went on when I astro traveled in '81, and then going to '06. I mean, it's always changing. It's always changing. And so now, even learning the czar and how to move through the czar, I find way better. And I've kind of abandoned the astro and the ether because I find that moving through the czar is better and it's more beneficial and you can go further. And so that is the path I've taken, and it's given me a new power. And I know this new power is kind of feared somewhat because all of a sudden, when I'm moving through, it's like these same entities that would try to greet me when I'm just moving through the ethers. Now, like I can see where they're like over here, and I'm moving, and they don't even recognize me, or not even recognize me. They don't even see the way I move now. So I'm moving. I don't know. It's just so much to me. So a little more powerful, I'll say. Gives me a lot more range in the universe. That's what I would share. So you should evolve. You know, spirituality is something that should always change. Oh, well, thank you. I'm sorry. YouTube mainframe, slow it down. Well, you know, if you look at, there's always one person that works for YouTube. Always one person that watches. So if you look at, if got 1 million people, there's one person that works for Google that always watches. That's when they killed my channel before. That couldn't be done by a computer. I mean, what, I said a certain words and they cut it? No, that is done by a person watching. Force choking. Gang. There you go. Understand? Is everybody super? Then nobody is. Yeah, that's the way. If everybody's super, then nobody is. That's the thing. What stone or crystal we recommend to lessen stress? Let's find out. Because this is from Judy Hall. And I'll tell you what she says, and then I'll share my own personal experience. Here we go. Here we go. Amethyst, Shyrite, Green Adventurite, Beryl, which is nothing but black tourmaline is Beryl. The Postite, which I don't have, Lapis, which you can, Herkimer. I do have some Herkimers here. Rose Quartz, Amber, Petalite, Aquamarine, Siberian Quartz. Jasper is really easy to find. Jasper is our throwaway rock here, or fill rock. Jasper is everywhere here. So amethyst is probably the easiest. Now, I know, and I don't have any out here. Another one would be a ligum. Shiva ligum is also. Shiva ligum can take away stress. Really great stone for anxiety. If you're suffering from anxiety and you grab a ligum, it will take away that anxiety, or it will slow it down for you. Really, but stress would handle stress the same way. So to me, out of looking at all these, just get some simple, cheap amethyst and try to work with amethyst when you're in a stressful situation. You'll have to wash it off and cleanse it when you're done. You know, just rinse it off. But if you feel you're in a stressful situation, this is something you could even have at work, and you could just cup it in your hands. Let me see, I got a small stone right here. This isn't very small. This is a mahogany obsidian mahogany, or mahogany obsidian. You see the browns in it. And you could just take a small, like if you was at work, even smaller than this, or better example would be this, where you don't want people seeing it work. You could have something this small and just put it in your hand and just cup it and try to take a few breaths with it and just ask it, like, I'm really feeling it right now. Would you mind making it less stressful? Could you carry some of this burden off of me? And, the more you try that, eventually you'll be successful. Now, I can't guarantee it because there are people that just can't connect the stones, and that's just a reality. There are people that just can't connect to them. But if you get any kind of tween, just when you hold one for the first time, you probably can connect to it. And that's one of the easiest ways is to see if you're spiritual, if you can connect to the energy of the stones. As I've said before many times, just because you can't see this moving, all stones are vibrating. All of them vibrate. And I'll tell you, a mechanical thing or steel, this is always moving. This is the same way. It is always moving because the heat blowing, everything moving, any kind of wind makes this move. And so it is almost always vibrating as well. That's why I keep a crystal in it. The crystal likes being in it, but they're always vibrating. So, best author for crystal info. It's even used in computers. Well, it's used in watches too. Quartz is used in watches. Yes. What are crystals about? It's just a way of using and enhancing your own natural ability. That's what they're about. Is that stinking Emily doing it? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, the best authors for crystals. I like Harmony. Again, her older book maybe because this one doesn't show the pictures of crystals. This is a great book, but her older books maybe if you can find one. Robert Simmons, he writes the Big Book of Stones. He's a big believer in Azurite, but he puts Natasha in there too. Natasha gives her spins on it. Again, he's kind of a crystal hustler. As I showed before, these are two newer books. These two newer books on because somebody took I had a crystal Bible by Judy Hall, and somebody seems that was disappeared. But this is a newer book by Sarah Bartlett, and I have another of Sarah's books, so I'd have to go find it. And then this is also a new book, How to Use Healing Powers, and I got these at half price books. I got both of them for about $7 a piece. So there's a lot of different things. I mean, Judy Hall does the crystal Bibles, but Judy makes you buy several books before she'll give you all the crystals. Where Harmony's book and Robert Simmons' books gives you pictures. Robert Simmons' books gives you pictures of all of them. Ben, he's kind of Azurite. He uses a lot of Azurite. But yeah, crystals generate energy. Yes, absolutely. So could it be a placebo at all? Not saying I don't believe it because I don't want to get into it. Could it be? I don't know because when you take a placebo, you are thinking it's going to be something else. So they give you the possibilities. And again, when people give possibilities for stones, it doesn't mean it's going to react the same way for you. But I think the best thing is to go to a shop. And this is why I'll say that I think it's more than placebo. When I worked at the fair, they did a brilliant thing when I worked at the crystal shop with the fair. They put the crystals, like the loose crystals, the little small crystals in front of the entrance. So when we had a kiosk at the fair, and I would say I did not see one child not stop and grab a crystal. Out of thousands of people, almost every child, the first thing they would do when they saw the crystal place, they would go grab a crystal and hold it. Now, what would attract the child? It was placebo. How would every child have that same reaction? Now we know children have a what is the word I'm looking for? Innocence with their spirituality. A lot of children haven't been corrupted, so there's no slant. And so that was firsthand to me. It's like there's more to it, these crystals, than what that they and crystals will ping you as well. I go to a crystal shop now and I'm getting boom, 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 boom. Take me, take me, take me. So I have to turn a lot of that off because now when I go for purpose. I don't just buy stones. I actually buy stones for purpose. So I think it's more than that. I always say it's real in your brain if you think it is. There you go. You just reminded me of I was into crystals as a kid. I never knew they had a spiritual aspect at the time though. Wow. I had my amethyst in the pouch of my hoodie all day. Well, as I said before, I put 2 stones in this. I put 2 stones in this one. And then I put several in this hat. I put several in this hat, and I try not to lose them as I'm talking. And like they were talking about Herkimer diamonds, and these are fairly inexpensive. These are fairly inexpensive. This is my oldest Herkimer. And they're diamonds because the way they can facet. They have faceting inside. And so diamonds do that, and these do that too. That's my oldest one. And then where's my other? But now, instead of using a third eye clarifier, I just use this hat. And these are all high vibrational stones. This one's a little clearer. It doesn't have as much carbon in it. And they're found in Heckham, New York. Now they own the name, so if you find them, they found in India too. Other places have found them, but they want to discount them because they're not found in New York. But those are found in New York. Heckham, New York is where they get that name from. So yeah, I've carried stones like that. I wear stones around like that. We look into crystals daily, not as mirrors, melted crystals. Yeah, that's a part of it. We do. That's why I've talked about this before. In Voodoo, they cover mirrors. People that practice voodoo, they cover mirrors. They don't keep them open. They cover them because there can be a spiritual side even of a mirror. So yeah, some people don't leave their mirrors uncovered. A lot of people I know, you go in their cribs and the mirrors is covered up. Just like I try to explain to people that the exercise mirror, that's the perfect thing of flat earth. That's what people don't understand. What that technology is going to turn into, you're going to be able to trade with that being you see in the exercise mirror. That is what that is preparing you for. So one day you look in the mirror and say your reflection looks better than what you think you look. You can go, well, first of all, it's going to, the reflection, one day, this is how it's going to go. The reflection is going to, you'll just say you want one of your outfits and it'll show you wearing the outfit. So you here is going to be, if it's a man, you're going to be in a t-shirt and some boxers, but you're going to be able to look at the suit, one of your suits and ties, and you're going to be able to look in that reflection and tell it, my clothes, this outfit, this outfit. I think woman would be a better example. But then the future of that shit is trading with the mirror. The mirror being coming out and you going into the mirror. That is where it's going to. And again, people flat earth don't understand the mirror plane is your plane as well. And none of you don't hear any of them. I think I'm the only one that really talks about that. The mirror plane is your plane, flat earth people. You have to understand that. And it's no disrespect to anybody, but you have to look at that as well. The mirror plane is part of the flat earth because it's illusionary, which a lot of what we see here is illusionary as well. But that's something you have to accept too, is, put that into your work as you look at it. And I ain't saying the motherfucker's round. I know it ain't round. Definitely ain't round. Ain't definitely the shit they show you, it ain't that. And you can find, when you work on your spirituality, you can leave your body, you can go see what it is. You can go see if it's a dome. You can go see what else. You can see what it is. So, and where's it at? Oh, my daughter must have moved it. Oh, here it is. Now, this is you want to put yourself in flat plane. This is a really good way to do it. If you really want to put the flat plane all around you, you can't even think of the name of this shit. Pyrite. So if you want to put the flat plane around you and you really want everything to, because it's like this is the problem a lot of times. So we have all around us that we've been told that we live in a globe, but there's nothing but squares all around us. I mean, look at these pictures other than that one. I mean, there's squares everywhere. Your door frames, your walls, your house is basically squares all around us. But when you put this around you, it gives you more, how do I want to say this? It will make all your reality that. And then there's no argument. So if you're sitting at home and you want to meditate and you truly want to experience flat plane or even carry this with you, even carry this kind of thing with you. It will give you that all the time to make sure you stay in that consciousness. Because this is the problem people have is, okay, you believe in this, but it's hard for you to live because your daily movements is telling you it's something else. But when you turn to something like this, you can keep your reality in the flat plane. And I don't think I've ever told that. But meditating with this really will put all your meditations in that kind of thinking. So, but to me, it's like, go see for yourself. And, you know, I can, like, there's, how do I want to say this? I don't want to be insulting. But if you want to join me in that, sometimes we can do that. I'll say that. And I don't think that's any kind of lock. We can do that. If people want to one day just experience that, I might be able to push that on. Where we can all experience that. I have to see. Ancestors say no, then I won't do it. But I think I can do it without getting in trouble. Why do people say it's flat? When I get angry, mirrors calm me down. That is cool. Look into crystals daily, not mirrors. Why do people say it's flat? It's a dome. Well, some people say that it's not a dome. So it's a lot of different ways to see it. What is up, down, the reality at this point? What is up is down in this reality at this point. Exactly, because if you look at everything has to be upside down, because the way that your vision takes it and it flips the stuff upside down. So everything has to be upside down because that's just the way that light comes into us. It takes the image and it flips the image upside down. So everything has to be upside down, or we really couldn't see it. But you can experience if it's a dome. I mean, you can experience that too. You know, go to see if you can penetrate the dome. Go to see if diamonds come from the dome. That's what the mag says, that the diamonds come from the dome. Go experience that. That's my thing, is experience that. Don't go off rhetoric. Don't go off other people. Go off what you know. That's the best I tell people. That's why I show this, is if that's your belief, put yourself in this consciousness all the time. This will help you hold that. Because we're in a world where people say it's not. Now, that's interesting about the dome. I'd have to really think about that. That's interesting. How to keep that consciousness. I guess I haven't worked on that enough to see how to keep that consciousness. But that is so close. The dome is so close but the dome also comes from flat planes, so it will be the same thing in a way. Because what you're saying is you're still going off of, no, but the dome will be considered up, and the flat plane can't have up. It's only on top. So I have to think about that one. What is up, down is really, yeah. So a lot of different ways to attack it. We don't travel around like a ball, but around like a clock. Well, that's how the planets move. The planets move like a clock. Because I'll tell you right now, I can show you. The sun comes up in our east, and that fucker moves just like this. And all the planets move the same way. And I have a star tracker on here, and it does the same thing. I was showing it the other night. I'll be like here, and then I have to go under like this, and under over there, and back up here like that. Yeah, it does. The moon starts from behind me in the west, and it's been doing a really funny thing. And the sun followed this too, where it is like straight up above. And sometimes it wouldn't always be straight above. But I noticed the moon and the sun the last year or so gets like that, where it'll go, instead of, being on an angle with the sun would be straight up, which is odd. I follow this stuff, and it's odd. And the moon is follow that pattern too, where it's straight above us. So, but everything does move like a clock. All the planets move like a clock. All the constellations, they all move the same way. So it makes you wonder. Moon gazing really calms me too. Okay. I moon gaze quite a bit as well. I moon gaze. They found 7 million in cocaine on the beach in Seattle in a duffel bag. Yeah, I know I couldn't carry anymore, Jeffrey. I had to let that much go. The rest of it I kept though. So I'm good. Thank you for asking. It's getting out of here and not being trapped anymore in this matrix. Well, Yeah, somewhat, somewhat. Um, it's just not fearing. Death ain't the end. Death is some ways a freedom, but it's definitely not anything to fear because it's like just if you work with your ancestors, you become the ancestor, and that so your role doesn't go away. I didn't see this already, Jeffrey. That's a funny one. That's a funny one. Oh, I came to see the power. Okay. Came to see the power on that one. That's a funny one, Jeffrey. I absolutely adore and appreciate the moon and sun. Beautiful, essential. Yeah, I do too. You can have called me a player. I could have picked some up. uh, uh, um, I love gazing. I love star tracking and constellation tracking. I mean, there's energies in all of it. You get into the celestial houses, and there's a little bit of reality that we all can tap into that. Same way with the houses of the moon. There's that kind of way you can tap into that if that's if that resonates with you. I mean, that's the thing is you have to find out what spiritually resonates with you. That's why I don't. My brother looking slick. Thank you, Sean. That's kind words. Looking like old dude. Looking like old dude. I remember like walking around all day just looking like current and everything. And then I get dressed up at night. I dressed up. I'm wearing gaiters and Kangos and stuff. And then I go to a place where the way I was dressed earlier was I shouldn't have changed, I guess is my point. My outfit didn't go to where we ended up going. I never remember that. I remember I was wearing shit that wasn't even sold here in Minnesota, and as far as a sporting look. And then I go to the club, I should have stayed and not dressed the way I dressed. What do you think your purpose on this plane of existence? Have you found it? Yeah, yeah. My plane is my purpose is to help those that I can, to love as many as I can, to be strong for those that are weak, but to love, to try to teach love. I mean, it's hard in this day and age, to keep the love meter. But it's also, my thing is to learn about as many ancestors as I can so I can continue and save that for the children as they get older. Because what happens is a lot of like these pictures are just become faces, but I try to write down stories about these faces so I can look at these so these later generations can look at something and say, he liked this, he liked that. And so those are some of my purposes. Research, find joy, reading, making young men turn into men, productive men. I was a single father with three children, three boys. And I had to raise those three boys basically by myself. And they're all productive men. It's not an easy thing because some days I had a thing where I make them choke themselves when they was little. It's like, yeah, you just got to choke yourself right now. Just get over here and choke yourself. Not to say it's easy, but it's just I love people. Um, Beautiful words. Well, thank you. So, I want to love as much as I can too, but I have to protect my heart as well. Yeah, like I say, your heart don't stand a chance, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So many people want to get into things and rush into it, and you don't really know the person. Where it's the romance and the courting is gone. That's kind of gone in life. Where you really want to court somebody, and you want to meet, to see if you can just be with this person other than just have passion. Because once passion goes away, what do you have? So if you don't have a passion for the person before you have sex, and the sex was just okay, that the kind of thing dies. But if you have passion for the person before you have sex, it'll live, because when we get old, the sex ain't as often. Well, thank you, Overstand. That's nice. Do you think about this generation? Do you feel this is space genius? Any space for genuine love? Because it seems like this gen's too influenced by media, hypersexualized. It hurts to see. Well, yeah, I would agree with a lot of that. It's, I guess my hope does come from like my 26-year-old son. He's found someone that he has loved since high school. Even though they broke up for a while. He lived with another person, but they were still always kind of together. And so he's found it. My 20-year-old, some ways it looks like, or he'll be 20 in a few months. Some ways it looks like he's found his soulmate. So, he found someone that matched him. And so I kind of look at that. Now, my 18-year-old, kind of hard to say. Kind of hard to say. But like just what you said, that over sexualized, that's all girls is really for. But this is the interesting thing about him. He has deep friendships with his partners. I mean, he's the life of every party. He's just like Lauren Hardy's the life of every party. I mean, he's a genuine people attractor. The one that pops his big head in here every now and then. So it might be some hope for him. It could be. Instant gratification nowadays. They want the quick fix of pleasure. Yeah, yep. I agree. With the black people understand that Benjamin Crump is not a trial lawyer. No, he ain't going to trial. He's going to file briefs. 21-year-old ATM, just trying to be the best of me. There you go. You see, yeah, I did. I did a thing on that too, because he missed them 2 free throws that could have iced the game. 90% shooter that was having a good night, and then he misses 2 free throws that could have won the game. So you see, they're trying to keep them, because they're going to have playing games, and so they're trying to keep them around because they ain't played very good. The big fella been hurt most of the year. They ain't playing very good. So they are trying to keep Luka around. The goal is to get out of here. Well, I mean, a little more than get out of here. The goal is to find the proper way to get out of here. And the goal is to, while you're here, to be a spiritual being, to be a loving being, to not let all this that fights us take you down. I think those are the goals. I think those are the goals to me. My cat must have smelled some of that fire. He's like, whoa. That's all you can be. That's all you can be. Is to worry about your own consciousness. Psychedelics worth trying? I can't say yay or nay. I mean, mushrooms can help you. I've said this before on DMT. If you ain't light enough to get the proper spin, and I know I don't talk about that enough, but with all of them, even with mushrooms every time ain't necessarily going to give you the psychedelic experience, but it will help with the spin that's required to meditate. It will help with that. I'll say that. It will give you enough of the spin where you can take mushrooms and it will give you enough of the spin that will keep you, like if you saying to stay with the source for a short amount of time, mushrooms will give you that, where you feel that you can sit amongst the source for a few. DMT, not necessarily. You really, I would say, before you took something like that, work on your spirituality. Being able to see, this is the thing that most people can get in that state without taking that. I had experience yesterday, again, people that would take that with the experience I had yesterday with, that's how people would describe it. It's like they took that, it would put them in what I was in yesterday. I was just smoking bud, so you don't necessarily always need that kind of thing. Good night. Oh, Ednice, thank you for joining me. You too. Very kind words. Cheers, 8-win, everyone. I'm 25, feel like an old soul. Sean, well, good night, everyone. Have a good night. I've asked to come here many times, and I'm finally done this time. Not getting mind wiped and going through this again. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point because that's the problem with reincarnation. Again, it's like you learn everything and then boom, you got to do it again. And that's the problem that you don't want. You don't want to have to do all this again. You want to be able to learn enough. Like the thing I read, just when you learn all the answers, the questions change. Well, you want to be in a situation where when they change the questions, boom, you're ready for it. You automatically got a cheat sheet, and that's the most important thing. So, and it's just the not being corrupted. How would we know we're doing it? But how would we know we're doing it again? Well, that appears to be a lot of the information that's out there. If you study and then talk to people, it seems like there's a reincarnation is a repeat. That's what it seems like. That's what if you come up enough research, the research shows that it seems to be a ever evolving door. Now, I've talked about this the other night. There are people that purposely come because they try to help humankind. So they take whatever comes just to be here and put out this loving information. So they call them purposeful people, purposeful reincarnators. They reincarnate on purpose. Choose to come here to meet all of you, and you too. Thank you. Years ago, my G. Well, thank you, Jeff. It was nice meeting you as well. And that's, from a research perspective, that's where we come from. 2 o'clock. Okay. 2 o'clock my time. I know it's late where you at, Jeffrey. Aren't you on the east? So I'm going to tie this up. I'm not going to go too much longer. For my first night, first night back, I did do the afternoon the other day. Yesterday, we were gone. I was gone all day. Had to take my daughter to Baton, and by the time we got back, it was late. And Mondays, Tuesdays, I like to do early shows. And I was gone most of the time during the day, too. I was gone all day. And so picked my daughter up, and it was time for me to move. I didn't come back home when I took her because where she does her baton is a nice little drive from here, about a half hour. So I cut the time in the middle, and I just hung out and walked around, had some coffee and that stuff. Went to because malls here close at 7. Even the Mall of America, they close early. I know they're going to start staying open a little longer but a lot of stuff is closing too because of riots. So they're closing early again. So there's been a lot more patrols everywhere. Even though I live quite a way, there's like here we generally have one person patrolling at a time, but I noticed it was several, and everywhere I went, there was several places like that. A lot of places because they don't know where the looting is going to come from and stuff. So. Well, thank you. So, love and light, brothers. Very nice words. I'm off. See you in the next live stream. Well, thank you. So, thank you for joining me, and I appreciate it. And I in 3.5 months, I have 800 subscribers, and I want to thank everyone for the support. Thank you very much for tuning in, watching my sports videos. I try to mix it up where, if you want to try to understand the sports, you can understand the sport. And if you try to understand the spirituality, I try to be open to do the spirituality. So, but I just thank everyone for letting this channel grow as much as it's grown. And I know, my other channel, I'd be well over 3,000 subscribers if I would have kept that. They wouldn't have destroyed my other channel, but that's in the past. And so it's doing it again. And thank you. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the questions. And I thank you so much for just being interested in the information. That is outstanding. And I appreciate that. I do my best to try to be clear and concise as I can and answer the questions as to the best of my knowledge without a slant. When you talk about just crystals, some people are not going to feel nothing. That's just the way it is. Even though this thing is vibrating in your hand, some people are not going to feel that. They're not going to feel that. And that's okay. Doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's just you can't connect. The guy that I buy the most of my crystals from can't connect like that. He knows their value, though. He's an expert in their value in buying them. But as far as feeling the energy, he can't feel the energy. He admits it. He admits he can't feel the energy, but he knows their value. And so that's his love. is he's found the value. He likes stones, and he's made a life of it. He's selling about 50 years. This cat's older than me. He's probably in his late 60s, early 70s. Kind of a sloppy guy, but hey, what the heck? So YouTube, and just in closing words, just work on yourself. Work on your own spirituality. You ain't really got to go by anybody else but you. Look at what you are. You can't compare. So what if you pick up a crystal, you don't feel anything? That's okay. That doesn't make you not spiritual, because you can still be spiritual without it. You can't compare yourself to any what you hear and then expect that you can sit there and just take off. It don't really work like that. Like a lot of when I read the card, just talks about nurturing energy, and it's practice. It's like each day you try to meditate just a little longer. If you can really get into the breathing, you don't have breathing conditions, asthma or anything, by all means, try to meditate like that. Try to quiet all the voices in your heads and know that the voices if you hear voices that ain't you, like you sitting there and all of a sudden you hear a voice that says, go eat a cheeseburger, and it ain't your thought, then you have some type of attachment and you have to knock that shit off. And there's easy ways to get rid of that. You can just mentally find where that voice comes from and kick it in the ass and kick it out of your consciousness. Or you can carry a knife all around all the time, and the knife will eventually cut that shit off you. If that's your intention, why are you carrying the knife with you? Like, I need these attachments cut off me, and this knife is going to spiritually cut this shit off me. Because you want to know that your thoughts are your thoughts and your thoughts alone, not any corrupted thoughts that have jumped on you from who knows where or transferred from another person. And so the goal is to be able to sit and be quiet. Most people can't stand that. When you sit and you're quiet, how different the world sounds around you. Like I was joking with my shoes and my shoes squeaking. When I go out in public, no one can hear those shoes squeaking. It is so loud in public, no one can hear it. I go in the supermarket, no one can hear that. That's how loud the world is. But simple way is just to be quiet. And do you like yourself enough to sit there and be quiet? Some people don't like themselves enough that they can just sit there and just be with themselves. Some people really don't like themselves. But you have to love yourself. Because without you loving yourself, you can't love anybody else. That's how it goes. You have to love yourself first. Then you can give love to others. But know that you're important. Know you have value. Look at, do you have friendships? You must have some value if you have some friends. How does your family relate to you? Some are negative. Some are positive. And even if, they're negative and you don't talk to them, that's fine too. Sometimes it's just know that they're safe in their world. They're safe. And that's okay too. But love yourself. Hold love as long as you can. Because love is supreme. Love is supreme. Joy, bliss, all these are supreme. So, as you know, I always end with Eshawn's rap, and it goes something like this. I'm not a New York rapper or a LA gangbanger. I'm just an old school Detroit crack slinger. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you all for coming. Till we meet again.